Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to do a little commentary video talking about something that I think would be an interesting conversation to have, because I feel like this is by far the most well-received Call of Duty launch in terms of its multiplayer. Keep in mind, I'm talking about multiplayer, not talking about zombies, not even talking about campaign, even though I've heard good things about the campaign. I personally haven't finished it, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the multiplayer. It has probably been the most well-received multiplayer from the online Twitter community, YouTube community, those people, not from everyone, because it's literally impossible to tell what everyone thinks about this game, because the majority of players, I would say probably at least 90% of players, don't talk about Call of Duty online. They don't even watch videos about it online. They just play it in the free time, and that's it. So we don't really know their thoughts and opinions on Vanguard. We can only hear that like 10 to 5% of the player base who talks about it online, on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube, whatever it may be. But just from that portion of the community, it's got to be the most well-received Call of Duty launch since probably Black Ops 3, to be honest. I mean, Black Ops 3 had a lot of love at launch, at least from what I could gather. And I think every COD after that, like Infinite Warfare, World War II, Black Ops 4, it was just getting a tremendous amount of hate. And then even Modern Warfare 2019 was getting a lot of hate, even though that was definitely a well-respected Call of Duty later on in terms of the majority of people. But when you're talking about the Twitter online community, people were bashing a lot of its changes. And then, of course, Cold War got bashed like crazy too. And I feel like Vanguard is the first one in a long time where I feel like most people are enjoying it. And because, you know, I'm very into psychology, I just love thinking about, well, why? Why are people thinking this way? And some people might say it's not that deep. They just think it's a better Call of Duty than most, and that's completely fair. But I really think the reason for this is so simple, and it can be explained by literally just two things that they did with this multiplayer. Of course, everyone is different. I am simply making a generalization here. I highly doubt that literally everyone likes this game for these exact reasons and these exact reasons only, but I think these are kind of the things that are causing people to enjoy this game more. And keep in mind, you also don't really exactly know why you like something so much. Personally, I don't always know why I like something so much. I feel like everyone expects themselves to have this full conscious awareness of all their thoughts and feelings on everything, but that's just not humanly possible. We all are very, very susceptible to unconscious feelings towards things, and we don't even realize why we like certain things a certain way. I mean, you probably met people in your life before that you just didn't like you just didn't feel good around them, and you couldn't ever tell why. You're like, I don't know why I don't like this person, but I just don't. Or the opposite, you really like someone and you don't really know why. Like, that happens. We don't always have full conscious awareness over our thoughts and feelings on things, and that goes the same way for Call of Duty. And I think that is happening here as well. Some people like to try to figure out why they like it, and I think sometimes they don't even know how to fully explain their thoughts, which is why I hate making review videos so soon after the game's launch. But I do it anyways, just as like a first impressions review. But it always changes as the life cycle goes on. My thoughts always change. I mean, my thoughts have been changing consistently for this game, and I gotta say, I've been liking it more and more as it goes on, but that can change any day now. Like, I can play one day and I can just be like, wow, I'm starting to really see some flaws here and start to notice some things that I don't like. But the two things that I think are causing people to really enjoy this game a lot more than prior Call of Duty games is simply, one, the combat pacing system, and two, the fact that it has 16 maps at launch. I'm not lying, I think those are the only, like, the main two reasons here. I'm sure there's other little things here and there, but I think those are the biggest things that are causing people to enjoy this game more. So let's start off talking about the combat pacing system. So this is a brand new system, of course, where you are able to play every single mode in the game on different levels of player counts. You can do the normal 6v6, or you can go all the way up to like 12v12, and some maps even have like 24v24. What that does is it simply just increases the pacing of these games. And I think most people would prefer faster paced gameplay. I think this has been the case for a long time. There's a reason everyone and their mother is always asking for Shoot House 24/7 playlist, the Shipment 24/7 playlist, Nuketown 24/7. That's all they ask for. That's all they really want to play at the end of the day. Most people, again, not everyone, but most people like those faster paced game modes. And to have a bunch of them available at launch on every single map is insane. I mean, think back to, like, I don't know, Modern Warfare 2019, when you had only 6v6 at launch. You had like what, 6v6 maps, and you had those 4 10v10 maps, but those 10v10 maps were like really big and probably would work better for like 24v24. The game just felt a lot slower in comparison, and you couldn't play like, 12v12 or whatever on these 6v6 maps. So everything just felt slower. And even going back to older Call of Duty, it's always been that way. You only have that ground war playlist, which gives you that 9v9, but what maps are usually the ones that are most beloved from Call of Duty's history? It's usually the smaller maps that are just faster paced overall. Those are usually the ones that get the most attention. And I think we're at a point now where people are starting to get like, they just don't want to be playing Call of Duty all day. Like, we're starting to get to that point. People love grinding camos, however. They love grinding levels. So if they don't have the ability to play all day and they want to level up and grind as fast as possible, that means they want to get as many kills in one single match as they possibly can. They want to level up as fast as possibly can. They can't do that in those large-ass maps with the small-ass player counts. They just can't. So they want to play, 8v8 DOS House. They want to play 12v12 on, I don't know, the Hotel Royale map or whatever. The smaller maps with the larger player counts. That's what people want to play. That's what people love to play. And this game has it available on every single map. Every single map you can play with a really chaotic experience because of the combat pacing. People love that, and that kind of works into the other point I had, which there's 16 maps, right? So people are playing all sorts of different experiences again and again, but they're all fast-paced experiences. That's why people are saying really good things about the maps in this game, because not a single one of the maps has really slow pacing. If they make it that way, they can play Blitz and not a single map will play slow. If they play 6v6, it's a completely different experience. Now, that doesn't mean every map is automatically going to play well. It might play fast, but still play like crap. But I would think that most people still prefer it to just be faster in general, because they can get their camo challenges done quicker, they can get levels done quicker, they can unlock attachments quicker, they can do everything quicker. And so they're starting to get more of a loving feeling for the game, because their enjoyment for it is moving at a faster pace rather than sitting around looking for enemies for half the match like they may have felt on a map like Granza Raid back in Modern Warfare 2019. They're not feeling that right now in this game. And I think that faster paced gameplay is what Call of Duty really needs, and I'm really glad they did this. Now, I think there's definitely a lot of talk about, time to kill and stuff like that, and how that affects people's enjoyment. And although I really like a slower time to kill for a lot of reasons, and I would much prefer that, I do think the majority benefit from a faster time to kill like what Vanguard has, because not only does your skill not matter, but also skill-based matchmaking is not going to be as big of a deal. I mean, that's one of the reasons I feel like skill-based matchmaking was so much more hated on in Cold War compared to Modern Warfare and now in Vanguard, because Cold War had this slower time to kill, which meant the skill gap was a bit higher. So playing against really good players, it was a lot harder to do effectively. But if you're playing against really good players in Vanguard, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, just get behind them and shoot them in the back, and you'll decimate them if you're using like an MP40 or something. It's not as hard to go up against good players in a game like Vanguard, when I feel like the skill gap's a lot lower than it was in Cold War. That's not to say the skill gap is really, really low. It's definitely higher than Modern Warfare, but it's still to a point where I feel like the skill doesn't matter as much, which some people love that, and I think majority do like that and prefer that. Personally, you guys know I just like different gameplay styles, and that's completely fine. But I think people aren't noticing skill-based matchmaking as much because of that, even though it's definitely the exact same as the prior two games. It's just they don't notice it because time to kill, it's a lot faster, so skill doesn't matter as much. Plus, add in the combat pacing, there's a bunch of chaos going on. There's never a dull moment in this game. They're always going into action, shooting people or getting shot at, and things are just back and forth. I think that's literally the best way to describe why people are liking this, and because there's 16 maps, they haven't got past that honeymoon phase yet, because they're still experimenting on tons of different maps. I mean, personally, I haven't even played every map more than like a couple times. Like, I think that one 2-scan map I played like once, like the one you're seeing in the gameplay. I played this map once. I've literally yet to play this again, and that does make for a good feel. That does make the game feel a little bit more fresh for a little bit longer. But my question is, how long is this going to last? Because I feel like every COD, there is a honeymoon period. Like, even those CODs that I mentioned the past 5 to 6 years, even those had a decent amount of love at least the first couple days, but then it's like it just drops. There's a certain point where it just drops, and then everyone's like, no, this is getting stale, we need more content, we need to overhaul, or whatever it may be. And I'm really curious to see if that's ever going to happen. I just think the honeymoon phase is just going to be longer than it usually is because we have so many more maps to play with. And I don't know. I'm curious. Again, it depends because they're going to be adding season 1 really soon anyways, so we'll get new content, and I think people will enjoy that, of course, assuming the content's good and the content is substantial. But I don't know. Personally, I don't really care what the community thinks to a large degree. I just think it's fun to talk about and interesting to discuss. But in terms of my own enjoyment, how the community enjoys the game does not impact how I enjoy the game at all. It never has. I mean, people just bashed the living hell out of Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 4, and those are within my top 5 favorite Call of Duties of all time. So I don't really give a shit what people think, but I do like to talk about it, so it's fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you on my next one. Peace out.